Are we live? I think we're live. Scary movie season. Yep, scary movie season. What are the most iconic scary movie films? Scary movie films, is that right? Scary movies? The most iconic horror movie villains. Which ones are iconic? Which ones do you have to watch when it gets to scary movie season? The ones you have to watch for Halloween. Holidays always start early now. What is it, September 21st? Yeah. September 21st. Hey, good morning to you once again. 8:28 on Cat Country 95.1. I'm Mason in the morning, broadcasting live on the radio, but also on Facebook and on YouTube. You want to see inside the studio? You can do that. You want to see my shining face this beautiful Thursday morning we're having? You can do that. Facebook.com/CatCountry951. We're talking horror movies, iconic horror movies, as it is scary movie season. It's official season. What is it? September 21st. Halloween comes up. I guess that's about 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks, something like that. So it's time to start watching some scary movies. And there was a survey done. They asked 2,000 horror movie fans, which is qualifying. You're not just asking anybody. You're asking horror movie fans. Who is the most iconic horror movie villain? What is the best, most iconic horror movie? And let's family it up. The best Halloween movie for families. So it's got to be a little scary. It's got to be a little bit scary. And if you want to comment on Facebook, go ahead and do that. You can go to facebook.com/catcountry951 and let me know who the most iconic horror movie villain is of all time. Good morning, Cher on Facebook. Good morning, Stanley. The Shining. He says The Shining. Most iconic. I would have a hard time disagreeing with you, Stanley. I love The Shining. I love everything about it. I love the weirdness of it. I love the slowness of it. Ugh, all that stuff. Lindsay on Facebook says Michael Myers. Yeah. And once again, it's hard to argue with. It's hard to argue with most of the answers that we're going to get here. But the 2000 horror movie fans came up with one. The most iconic horror movie villain of all time. And you know who they went with? Oh, Cher guessed it on Facebook. Cher guessed it on Facebook. Freddy Krueger. Yeah, Freddy Krueger, which I've got to say is hard to argue with, right? That's who the horror movie experts say is the most iconic villain. But I would say Michael Myers, like Lindsay said, is actually hard to argue with. And then Clint on Facebook, he just said Jason. I feel like any one of those would be very hard to argue with. I really do. But according to the experts, they said Freddy Krueger. Lindsay says, I met Freddy. You met Freddy? I met Freddy at Comic-Con a few years ago. Nicest guy ever. That's good to know. That's good to know. If you ever get attacked by Freddy Krueger, he's going to be actually a very nice guy. A lot less mean than he is on the Nightmare on Elm Street series. But yeah, that came in at number 1. And the ones that you guys mentioned, by the way, not even number 2. You know who the second most iconic is? Chucky. Chucky from Child's Play. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think that's right? After that is Ghostface from Scream. Oh, that's gonna take some people up. When you're saying Michael Myers and Jason are below Ghostface from Scream, I'm not sure. But let's get into the most iconic horror films. This, I think, is an interesting one. I got a list of 7. This is once again from the 2000 horror movie experts that were polled. Number 7, most iconic, The Exorcist. Hard to argue with. Number 6, Night of the Living Dead. You guys like that one? That one's too old for me. I couldn't get on it like I wanted to get on these other ones. Night of the Living Dead, not quite. Nightmare on Elm Street at number 5. Then we have a tie at 3, I guess, 3 and 4. An American Werewolf in London and Halloween. Number 2, Carrie. What do you think of that? And the number 1 most iconic horror movie of all time, Friday the 13th. Isn't that interesting? Jason did not make the top 3 when it comes to horror movie villains, but the most iconic horror movie ended up being Friday the 13th. I thought that was very interesting. Now, what about the family-friendly ones? This is for those of you who don't want to be so scared. You want to watch something nice with your family, and of course, it is horror movie season, so you might as well watch a good one. These are the top 7 according to the horror movie experts. It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, right? That's good. Halloween Town at number 6, Beetlejuice at number 5, which I can watch Beetlejuice any time of year. Love Beetlejuice. The Corpse Bride at number 4. That's a scary one. I remember my daughter being scared of that. 2 and 3, we got a tie. Casper, love that one. My sisters loved that one. That one's definitely I have 3 little sisters. They loved Casper growing up. Ghostbusters, love that. Once again, I can watch that any time of year. And the number 1 best, most family-friendly horror movie of all time, Coraline. Coraline. And once again, that scared the heck out of my daughter. She absolutely was petrified, good morning, Daniela, by Coraline. The buttons for eyes, I think, is what did it. That freaked her out completely. But go ahead and put it in the comments, whatever you think. What's the most iconic horror movie of all time? What's the most iconic horror villain of all time? And maybe if there's a family-friendly Halloween movie that we need to talk about, maybe one that you've seen and nobody ever talks about it, put it in the comments. Let us know if this list is right, completely wrong, because they say it's horror movie experts. But I find that hard to believe. Hard to believe. I mean, you say Freddy Krueger's number 1 villain, but the most iconic movie is Friday the 13th. I feel like I'm getting some mixed signals. Getting some mixed signals there. But hope you guys go watch something scary. It's that season. Watch something petrifying like Coraline with the button eyes.